We've all heard of Thor's hammer, Zeus's lightning bolt, and the legendary sword Excalibur. But what if there existed weapons even more powerful? Weapons that could destroy the soul with a single strike, rewrite history at will, or grant unimaginable wealth beyond human limits. And the ones you're about to see can do all that and far more.
Turfing was a dwarven forged sword created under hatred, betrayal, and blood. According to Norse legends, the blade was cursed from the moment it was born. Forged by the dwarves Dvalin and Durin for King Svafar-Lami of Gardariki, a descendant of Odin, the sword was created to cut through stone and iron as easily as cloth, never miss its target, and never rust. But every time turfing was drawn from its sheath, it demanded a life. The sword glows like sunlight and is said to be invincible in battle, but its wielder is doomed to a trail of bloodshed and tragedy. The blade passes through generations, claimed by Angantyr and his 11 brothers, then by Heidrek, and later by Alucard in Castlevania Symphony of the Night, where it is a powerful, cursed weapon, often retaining its cursed nature and supernatural abilities.
Forged in the depths of the Underworld, the harp of Hades was said to cut more than flesh. This curved blade could sever the soul itself, binding spirits permanently to the realm of the dead. Unlike mortal weapons, wounds inflicted by the harp could never heal, not in life and not even in death. In Hesiod's Theogony, the Titan Cronus wielded a harp provided by his mother Gaia to castrate his father Uranus, marking the beginning of the Titan's reign and the birth of new deities from Uranus's severed genitals. Later traditions associate a similar adamantine harp crafted by Hephaestus. Legends warn that mortals who dared wield the harp began to lose their own essence. They grew hollow, emotionless, disconnected from the living world. Some myths describe warriors who continued fighting long after their own souls had been consumed, moving like empty shells driven only by the blade's will.
The Sword of Gojien is a 2,500-year-old sword renowned for its exceptional preservation, sharpness, and intricate craftsmanship. Discovered in 1965 in Jiangling County, Hubei Province, China, during an excavation near the ancient capital of Chu, the sword was found inside a wooden scabbard with a near-airtight seal alongside a human skeleton. Despite over 2 millennia of burial in a damp environment, the blade shows no signs of rust or tarnish and remains razor-sharp, capable of cutting through 20 sheets of paper. Legends say the sword carries the spirit of vengeance, granting its wielder unmatched power in battle. But there is a terrible price. Generals who held Gojien's sword became utterly obsessed with war. They could not rest even after victory. They saw enemies everywhere and could no longer trust even their closest allies. Some stories tell of soldiers who begged for peace, only to be driven back into endless conflict by the sword's relentless influence. It is said the sword chooses its wielder, and once chosen, it does not let go. The legends carry a clear warning: Gojien is more than a weapon, it is a curse. Latizona was the legendary sword wielded by El Cid. The blade is forged from high-quality steel, likely produced by Andalusian craftsmen in the 11th century, a blade feared as much for its judgment as for its steel. According to legend, the sword radiated an aura of terror that could break an enemy's will before a single strike was made. Warriors froze in fear when it appeared on the battlefield, their courage collapsing under its presence. However, Latizona was said to judge its own wielder as well. Only those with true honor could wield it safely. Those deemed unworthy suffered terrible consequences, including madness, betrayal, and violent death. Some were destroyed by their own allies, while others were driven into ruin by the sword itself. Historically, the sword was documented in the armory of Martin I of Aragon in the early 15th century. Later, it was gifted by Ferdinand the Catholic to the Marquess de Falces as a reward for service. It remained in the family until the 20th century, when it was loaned to the Army Museum in Madrid. Pinaka is the celestial bow of Lord Shiva, a symbol of immense power, divine authority, and cosmic destruction in Hindu mythology. Crafted by the divine architect Vishwakarma, it is one of the most revered weapons in Hindu epics and is closely associated with Shiva's role as the destroyer within the Trimurti. The bow is said to possess the power to destroy entire regions and reshape the world itself. Even the gods feared its strength, knowing that a single shot could bring annihilation. Legends describe Pinaka being used to end wars not through victory, but through absolute destruction, erasing armies in moments. The bow is not meant for mortals, as it demands perfect discipline, control, and focus. Pinaka represents power so immense that it must remain restrained, or risk apocalypse. Angelech was a legendary sword forged by the dark elf Ale from meteoritic iron, a material said to have fallen from the sky as a blazing star. Known as Iron of the Flaming Star in Sindarin, the blade was black but glowed with a pale fire, capable of slicing through all earth-delved iron. It was created alongside its twin, Anguirel, and given to King Thingol of Doriath as payment for permission to dwell in Nan Elmoth. Forged from a fallen meteorite, giving it a will and darkness unlike any other blade, its true name means Iron of Death, and legends describe it as a living weapon that whispers to its wielder, feeding on despair and tragedy. The Axe of Perun is a legendary Slavic weapon rooted in both mythology and archaeology. Historically, it is represented by small battle-axe-shaped amulets, often worn as pendants in honor of Perun, the supreme Slavic god of thunder, lightning, and war. These artifacts, known as hatchet amulets, are considered the Slavic counterpart to the Norse Mjölnir pendants associated with Thor. Dating primarily to the 11th and 12th centuries, more than 60 such amulets have been discovered across modern-day Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, Poland, the Baltic states, and parts of Scandinavia, suggesting widespread belief in Perun's power and protection. The Mirror of Amaterasu, known as Yata no Kagami, is one of the most sacred and feared artifacts in Japanese mythology. Said to belong to Amaterasu, the goddess of the sun, the mirror was not forged as a weapon in the traditional sense, yet its power rivaled that of any blade. Unlike weapons that destroy the body, the mirror was believed to reveal the soul. When a being looked into its surface, it showed not the face they expected, but their true nature, every lie, every sin, and every hidden desire laid bare. Legends claim that the impure could not withstand this revelation. Some were driven mad by what they saw, while others collapsed under the weight of their own guilt. The mirror was used to lure Amaterasu from her cave, restoring light to the world, but it also became a symbol of divine judgment. It granted wisdom to the worthy and ruin to the corrupt. The legends carry a chilling warning. The mirror of Amaterasu does not lie, and once it shows you the truth, there is no turning away from it. The weapons described within the Necronomicon are not forged by human hands, but summoned from other dimensions beyond human comprehension. These weapons are capable of cutting through reality itself, tearing open the fabric of existence. Using them does not merely harm enemies, it attracts ancient cosmic beings older than time, entities capable of erasing entire civilizations without effort. The true horror of these weapons is not their destructive power, but what becomes aware of you after you use them. Once noticed by these entities, escape is impossible. The weapon may grant power, but the price is absolute annihilation.